with Ashanti Riley. You know, that's caused a lot of emotions.
Yeah, emotions. Yeah.
And I think it was Tuesday. Had the incident with Sharice.
Yeah,
Sharice Williams. Yeah, that made some headlines as well.
Yeah. Condolences to the family. Yeah, we have interacted with some of our family. Yeah, and well, it was like amazing to hear. And real disappointed and to hear like the kind of stories they come up with. The alleged stories.
Yeah, alleged stories
that happened in the hospital.
But you also showed me off here that the NWRHA they sent out a release.
Yeah, they sent a press release, you know.
Yeah.
First thing that they sent condolences to the family, and they also had their side of the story as well.
Wow.
And obviously there will be an investigation launched, which is very sad thing, you know, because you're coming to prove something that, you know, rest in peace to Sharice and the other people who have probably went through similar circumstances. And well, it's a real sad thing.
Yeah, that situation, I mean, to go in the hospital, you know, and in the report, she actually told her son, you know, that she promised him that she will be back.
We should be back, yeah.
Right. But I say we don't know the circumstances because
we don't know.
We wasn't there. You know, so we decided to go with the story that, you know, the family gave and
the press release.
Yeah, the press release. Yeah. You know, and I mean, people have to make their judgment from there.
Yeah.
You know? But really, really a sad situation with those two incidents. You know, and as I said, concerning the incident in Miaro as well, with the woman from Miaro who they found in Togo. You know, so.
Yeah, this week was a real difficult week.
It was a difficult week.
Women especially, you know, and the emotions running very high.
You know, a lot of people. And we still in the pandemic too.
Yeah, in the pandemic,
so people still have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Plus financial worries as well.
Yeah,
financial burden. You understand what I'm saying? So people coping with a lot of things right now.
Yeah, a lot of things,
And people, I mean, some people could deal with the pandemic fatigue and emotions, and you know, they could deal with it in their way, but some people really can't deal with it that well. You know, some people they might be making rash decisions, making wrong choices because you know they fed up.
Yeah.
You know, people want a way out of this pandemic right now.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So
well, I want to take this opportunity as well just to commend all the hardworking doctors and nurses in the hospital right now, because a lot of people just take them for granted, really and truly, right? Because you know, as in that profession, you can't make no mistake, and the pressure that is be under.
But at the end of the day, I mean, they are humans.
They are humans, because just the other day I was having a conversation with my neighbor, and we was comparing like our accountant to a doctor, right? Our accountant can make a mistake and write a extra zero on somebody paycheck. It happened to rare people, pick up people in sour. The accountant could make a mistake and put an extra zero on his salary, and that would be like, oh, nice small ding. But the doctors cannot make a mistake because it's life and death.
It's life and exactly.
It's life and death. So,
and you could lose a life within some
one
split
simple mistake,
yeah,
and that's it. And I just want to shout out the doctors and the nurses, all the hospitals across Trinidad and Tobago, for the dedication and the hard work you'll be doing, and you know, keeping our fellow Trinbagonians safe and alive, especially in the pandemic.
I would have encountered as part of the situation. I don't want to go too in depth in it because you know, I know a lot of people in the family will be listening, and you know, we don't want to bring back up those memories now, but a colleague of mine would have died about 3 weeks ago at work. You know, he fell down. This would have probably happened like around 9:30 in the morning. You know, and I say me and another colleague was there at that point in time. We took him to the hospital, and man died within the space of like 30 minutes or less. You understand? And we saw when he took his last breath now. So You know, again, shout out to all the hardworking doctors at Port Spring General Hospital, you know, they give the best, but I mean, you know, you never know, sometimes people have underlying situations that you're not aware about, you know, and the guy was young, 44. You know, so I'm saying, at 44, I mean, still in their prime. You understand?
Yeah.
So, and you know, all those things, you know, it is, I mean, there's spring back reality now, you know. Tell you know that, I mean, sometimes life is taken for granted.
Yeah, take it for granted. Yeah, a lot of things.
I mean, was when last week and a half I was going through social media, and I realized a friend of mine who I grew up with, I realized like he stopped posting now. He used to post regularly on Facebook. So that thing I went back up on his profile now. I saw he started a GoFundMe page because apparently like he developed a brain tumor, you know, and there's a life and that situation with him. You understand? I was like, just like that. I said, just so last month, just posting, you know, you're up and about, you know, so much plans. Boom, month after, set up a GoFundMe, you know, for a possible brain tumor. You understand? So I was like, wow.
Yeah, and as it is, well, as I say, we taking life for granted, but we also taking people and friends and family for granted because they are around us every day.
Sure.
We say good morning, say good evening, we hail them, but to say the appreciation and this, and we know when we depart ways and we go to our various homes and other places, we're not 100% sure that we would see them again.
True. You're correct.
And that's the thing. So
you're correct.
And so you just need to show a more appreciation, spread the love.
For real, spread the love.
Enjoy life, and you know.
You just have to enjoy life,
Try and make it.
You just have to enjoy life, but you know the people who just on this fight and you know try to fight other people and they really making themselves by blood. When they really sit down and think about it. People who you know who not talking to the family member, they talking to the mother, they talking to the sister. Where's the point of all that, boy? Where's really the point of all that? Real talk in real time. You understand? And I mean, when they really boil along to the nitty-gritty everything, you understand? It's pettiness. You understand what I'm saying? Probably something, you know, somebody say behind your back and they find out. Or you know, maybe you lend somebody money, you lend your mother money and she pay you back and that's it.
The doctor, the doctor. The doctor.
Right, the people get doctor.
Yeah. Legit.
But now, on our next topic, you take part in any susu? Any blessing?
Traditional susu. Traditional susu where I pay my money every.
In a traditional susu.
Yeah, right every fortnight I pay my money, and when is the last fortnight in December, I'll be getting my hand. I not putting $20 and looking for 140,000. I not looking for that.
But now, I'll be a Trinidad Tobago. You said you will. I'll be really nearly running that. Yes, that's so. Yeah, nearly running that. Nearly. Yeah, boy.
Yeah. Somebody hit your cloud.
Boy, I hit myself my brother and say, boy. So no, nothing is going past you.
You know, and believe it, besides the DSS, the other ones that people are partaking in, and you know, every minute somebody posts on about almost every day.
Well, you know the new ones already less among the ones.
Every day, everybody's sending me this flyer. Stop sending me these flyers, please. And what I'm saying to right, these it have some people they vex with you because you enjoying. They vex with you. No? They want you, and on top of that, they want you to bring somebody. So you cheering me up to join something I don't want to join. And top of that, I have to bring somebody. So I have to kind of force myself to because remember, I'm not really interested in. I just trying to put more money and see if it blossom. But on top of that, I have to bring somebody. So I go and tell I say $100 to join. But I didn't even want to pay the 100, but I tell him to join too. So, ease me, please, ease me.
What now? Within the past couple of weeks, about 6 or 7 memories, man. For them small,
and the vex.
And Actually, one of my friends out of the army, same who approached me. She posted on social media recently that the guys, the administrators, they ducking shit right now.
Well, is it?
So I would have been inside our mix and problems.
I'm telling you, boy.
That's... Yeah, come on radio and make now.
Watch, man. It has some people who going as far as they want to put the money for you. They're going that far.
Nah, me nobody put nothing for
they want to put the money for you. And then when they come and tell you, I put the money for you, I say, me? You put the money? I say, no. Take back your money. And the vex. Who want to pass me straight?
Hey, look man, see
well, take it down.
But careful out there.
But it dying down because I ain't really seen this thing.
Yeah,
people still
it dying down because as I say, a lot of them crashing right now.
It have anybody in Trinidad Tobago get 100,000?
I know people get 100,000.
The people who form this zone, not somebody who joined.
I know people who join
because watch me. The people who form many susus on them, right? If 100 people come and everybody put 1,000, let's say you get 100,000. But if other people enjoying to back up that 100, for the first man who put the 1,000 to get the 100,000, he can't get it.
He can't get that.
So the person who coming up with the susus on them is them who really get jail.
But one night, big man thing, you know anybody who collect money?
No. And I know real people join. Real people. I know real people join. And they didn't get that money yet.
They didn't get cent.
They didn't get no money.
Way.
And all they trying to get me to pay who.
And what now right now, a lot of people money tab right now because you not paying it directly. You had to go through the court system, you understand?
Yeah. But big up everybody who get the money. Shouts to you. I hope all you use it wisely.
Why?
But my dinero, no.
But watch now. How you see 2021 playing out?
Well, boy, alright. Here, I just look at it, right? December 31st, 2020 into January 1st, 2021 is just a day after.
Right.
I don't wait for the end of the year to make. You see this New Year resolution and
you not in that.
Nah. Every day is the same day. It's just we going into a new year.
True.
Because alright, so why y'all don't say when we go into a new month, you have a resolution, or next week you're going to do this? So nobody don't do that. Well, no say no.
I know.
But what I'm saying, my point is, don't wait for the end of the year to say, well, boy, I got changed for the new year. You see this new year, I didn't come around. You know, people like to talk. For the new year, don't come around me with this and this. I stopped that from the new year. I stopped that new me. You see that? So I look at 2021 as just a continuation of what I have started in my life for the past much years. So it's just like a continuation. You just, you know.
2020 was a difficult year for plenty people.
Yeah.
2020 was hard like Banga.
Yeah, it was very difficult, but I know a lot of people made the best out of it.
Out of 2020?
Yeah.
Right.
Me included. I started bubble pot. I learned to cook. So no girl cussing on me. Anytime you want a dish, anything you want, write it down. And I'm going in the kitchen. And I'm blazing up a pot. So that is one of my benefits. But at the same time, seeing that a lot of people lose their jobs.
Yeah, boy. For real.
A lot of people. It was real difficult. Well, for me looking at that for other people because, you know, everything is like a circle. So you see your friends and them not working, no money, and to eat.
Dog, watch now. I see real people who I know who was having proper jobs, lose a job and thing.
Yeah.
I never thought to this say that they would start to sell food and thing.
Yeah.
I don't. Our friend right now, she know finish her PhD. You understand? And she sent me a flyer 2 weeks ago. She said sort of push that for me.
Yeah.
Selling food.
And watch man, you see all that too is that is very encouraging for other people because the people who are accustomed doing nothing, because it have a lot of people who does nothing when the day come. And we talk about the pandemic, we talk about even before, who want to sit down on the road, who just not doing nothing. It have people who was, as I say, was employed and they got laid off due to the pandemic. They find other ways and means of surviving and getting money to come back, and that is an inspiration to the people who does nothing then.
True, because I mean, if they could do it, why I can't do it?
Why you can't do it?
My lazy butt and just expecting people to give me.
And they want to complain.
Do anything.
Yeah, you want to complain and say, boy, the first thing they see is Rowley. Now the first thing they're gonna say,
the government.
The government. Boy, this government is the worst. But what you doing for yourself? What you doing for yourself? So the people, shout to the people who made it happen.
Yeah. Watching I personally had to switch things up.
Of course, yeah.
So I say one part of my hustle, got affected. So now, I mean, because of the foundation I would have laid and thing, that's what keeping me living. You know, so I'm saying I ain't gonna say afloat, but living now, boy.
Yeah.
Had it not been for that, boy, you understand? Pressure. You understand?
Yeah.
So this COVID-19, well, I wouldn't say force me, but expedited some things now, boy.
Yeah.
In terms of some of my business plans and things too.
Right.
And force it into being too. And maybe, as I say, if one for the COVID-19, I would have got there.
Yeah.
But I'd just take my time now because
Yeah.
But, as I say, it's forcing to say, what?
Yeah.
I don't do this different. I'll do this different.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm saying.
And it also bringing something out of you that you never know you had.
True.
Yeah. It have things in here that in unleash it. It needs something or somebody to unleash
it.
What's happening here.
That's what this COVID-19.
Yeah. So your friend who started sell food
should have never sold food pre the pandemic.
Exactly.
Should have been like sort of probably gotten a job in a ministry or probably started her own business. But what would it aligned her to do?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And she was even telling me, she said sort of watch her this. She said me selling food, she had to swallow her pride.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Honestly, I swear when I saw the flyer I was like,
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what the COVID-19, it channel people into different directions.
Yeah.
It's serious.
Yeah.
So we'll get familiar with the new time from 12 every Saturday. Sort of culture blend. We'll play some music, we got some videos to feature as well. You can give me a call, if you're on the move, you're home right now. 342-0081 4665391. You can send us a WhatsApp or a voice note at 771-1791. Alright? 342-0081 4665391. Hey, shout out to my coach Dolan, boy. That our best barbecue yesterday up in Lavante Road.
Yeah?
Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Chanel. Carry me by Julan and stop playing.
Big up to Julan, boy. Big up to our farmers up on that side, Juzan. Big up to Mel. The full team. We are line up there, blood. Hi, blood.
Christmas morning. A man and the wife end up in a fight, cause out left and right the man feel she horning. He tells she do darling, if Christmas time you bring me gift from your heart, I bring from mine. Anything you want, honey, I will spare a dime. Tell me what you want for Christmas. Tell me what you want for Christmas. She said, I want clothes, I want shoes.
Check it out! Contemplate!
They say Georgia them causing plenty bacchanal in the place early Christmas morning. A man and the wife end up in a fight, cause out left and right the man feel she horning. nothing, honey. I want shoes, I want house, I want land. The man gets so fat, he say, well, it's best you go and let I want buy that for you. Oh, Christmas morning, I want how your name calling so. And I want that, I want this, and I want that. You bring your ham and sorrel, we bring me shak shak and quattro. I want this, and I want that. I want this, and I want that. What you want, what you want, what you want, what you want, what you want. Ayo. Waiting for somebody to release the money. If you don't have none, find it. If you can't find none, borrow it. If you didn't get none, don't study it. The most important, we live it. We will still have fun. We will still around. Sorrel and ginger beer. We will ham anywhere. If you don't have nothing to give, you still have privilege. If Jesus' birthday, I say, this Christmas I want mucho dinero, mucho dinero. Dance around the table, dance. Get up if you're able, get up. Dance around the table. Let me jump, let me jump. Dance around the table, dance. Get up if you're able, get up. Dance around the table. Let me jump, let me jump. I went baranging by my neighbor. And I buy Miss Gloria. I say, Madam, what you have to offer? She say, I have everything right here. I don't buy whiskey, neither strong rum. It is against my religion. I have homemade wine in all description. Oh boy, you could sample anyone. I have citrus, hibiscus, dandy root, passion fruit, dimawi, strawberry, aloes, Madame Gloria, it's sweet. Ba-dum-bum, 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 ba-dum-bum. I eat blockade from Jonah already. So right now I don't.
Shout out to Kevin Johnson out there in Washington, D.C.
Local when you present
Remember,
me.
you can see us live on Street 919 FM.
Some of them for
Up on Facebook, share the live.
oh madam, which one is it?
At home, you're on the move right now in the Maxi.
Bring it up quick, let me taste it.
Tobago South.
If you make it on your
Tom Porter, Spain.
I want
With your mobile phones. With the Street 919 FM.
she say hot plan.
Myself, sort of international culture blend. Live in studio 919 FM.
Guava, balata, bandanya.
So some very important information right now.
Yeah.
Contribute to your culture and win. This week on Iwer Stage, you can win a portable Bluetooth speaker system. Subscriptions can be made via the following.
Madam Gloria,
Use your B mobile or digital handsets. Text 9191, which allows you to contribute only TT $20, right? Go to GoFundMe TNT, choose a campaign of your choice and contribute. Fans in the US, please use cash.app payable 1-863-594-3659. When I will be selected tomorrow, Sunday, 6 December 2020 at 7 p.m. Do Iwer Stage live streams on Facebook at the Street 919 FM and Neil Iwer George.
This is what I have to confess.
Also check out YouTube at Iwer Tv.
You go get a bottle of rum, a bad cake.
Street also Iwer George on Instagram, right? With your culture and always be a winner.
Check, boy.
Now, boy.
We looking for things for Christmas, boy. How you gonna get your things? Let me tell you, join this thing, boy. Just dial 800 gift. Call me 800 gift to get your things for Christmas. Hey, COVID come and interrupt, but the food it cannot stop. So make sure it continue. And start the parang so soon. No two people. But if you want to invest, this is what I have to confess. Bring a bottle of fresh ginger beer. You go get a bottle of rum, a bad cake if you put it here. You go get a whole lot of as a real man if you come in. It's two chicken and it done clean. Come in once it looking well. You go get a bag of pastel. Hey, this is the parang susu. This is the parang susu. This is the parang susu. What we go do. Parang susu. This is the parang susu. This is the parang susu. So what we go do. You don't have to wait too long. 2 months now we going strong. Guarantee you get your hand, but you need to understand. No two people. Payout is we Tuesday. We stopping a week before Christmas. And if you bring a case of shandy, we get you bottle of Henny. A 6-pack of beer could get you plenty. A nice big butterball turkey. And a biscuit and a chocolate. Something a pain that you're leaving wayward.
Trinidad Tobago share the live right now.
Bring a bowl of chicken foot sauce.
On to Facebook, Street 919 FM. Share the live, see us live in studio. Sort of culture blend. Everybody listening right now. Glad to have you on board.
This is the
Parang susu, boy. Yeah. Some new music to feature. Yeah, so I'm have the trend and back gather them to feature as well. Yeah. Eyes by vibes.
Light up this Christmas. But I go remember, just pray for the year. The way how you like it. Allow me to take a woman and me. If I could do something for she, what? Bring a piece of
team out there and book Malatrus on this one.
She said she waiting. She hope I don't do it today. I tell she a coming. Right now I run away. When I bring the book and I drop it, the woman have to respect. Telling me it's not so she wanted. Next time I must never forget. She holding the book in she hand. She don't want it on the baby. She make me to understand. She don't want it on the baby. It's so she love she forget. She don't want it.
This is the song, baby, you've been waiting for. Hold somebody close, squeeze somebody real tight. We turn off the light, baby, slow walk it tonight.
Maria, darling, I must go. But remember, I love you so. Unfortunately, we must part. wish I could stay with you and give you what is yours to do. But until we meet again, I know right now we gotta say ayo. Whoa, whoa.
Abundantly, the brethren they full of energy. Some people say God is a Trinity. Paradise are not convincing me. God gave us a spirit fiery, but nothing in the world will bother me. But look at smart man gone with big money. We still come out and mash up the party.
The Gap Man Limited specializes in products that cater to all your health needs. The Male Enhancement Package targets the areas of the body that contribute to erectile dysfunction. The Male Enhancement costs $1,400. The Gap pills are priced at 250 pills for $500 and 500 pills for just $900. For the best in eye care, get the super combination of a Super Bright and the Body Healer. To improve the heart's function and circulation, get the Gap pills and Formula C. To get a total body cleanse daily, use the Gap Body Healer and Big C, all for a super low price of $1,300. To order your products from the Gap Man Limited, call 628-4531 for products that cater to all your health needs.
For more info, contact 476-7268.
This Christmas, give someone a Shamir Spark Christmas gift voucher or gift set. Make them feel nice. Visit Shamir, Trinity Mall, Mid-Center Mall, 23 Cipriani Boulevard, 25 Robinson Street, San Fernando, and Long Circular Mall. Call them today, 285-9053, or order online at www.shamircaribbean.com. Merry Christmas from Shamir.
Why be basic when you can be Ellie Fancy? This is not another online clothing page. This is a tribe of trendy, cute, and flirty clothes. Make your selfies perfect, hit your angles, and smile in our fun pieces for all occasions. At Ellie Fancy, we promise good service and timely delivery at a great price. Shop at Ellie Fancy. Go follow us on Instagram at Ellie_FancyTT. That's at Ellie_FancyTT. Welcome to the tribe.
The Global Galaxy Tracker app is the new state-of-the-art worldwide directory services website that enables different sectors of businesses to register and upload photos, menus, specials, and other information to get customers in their businesses like hotels, restaurants, nightclubs, and cruises. This tracker app helps consumers to decide where they want to go with ease. The app lets you know how many persons are at the nightclub, make reservations for a hotel, make dining reservations for restaurants, or order takeout food with free delivery services so you, the customer, can decide if that's the right place for you. Register for a free 1-month trial today and then pay a monthly subscription fee. Businesses can register on both sites, so you can check out globalgalaxy.co or download the Global Galaxy app at globalgalaxy.com from Play Store for Android devices. Stay safe in the pandemic and download the Global Galaxy Tracker app today.
With each passing day, it's getting closer to Christmas, and there's lots of specials around, but not as great as Super Quality One-Stop Supermarket. We have the lowest price on all ham and turkey, Christmas goodies like black cake, assorted biscuits, mixed nuts, fresh vegetables and produce, also Christmas decorations, household mini appliances, curtains, rugs, and so much more. Super Quality is the perfect one-stop shop shop with lots of parking at our 3 locations. Tissue Drive, Twin City Industrial Estate behind IAM, 98 Endeavour Road, Shoguanas, and number 14 Exchange Road in Couva. Check us out today. Super quality for the lowest prices this Christmas. Also, don't forget to follow us on Facebook or call 223-9715. It's all about super quality this Christmas.
Hi there, I'm Lester Sublal, inviting you to join me on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Saturday, 8:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. for the program Slow Gospel Music, and on the 4th and 5th Saturday from 8:30 p.m. for an extended version of Slow Gospel Music on Street 91.9 FM.
Do you remember as a child how excited you were to wake up on Christmas morning with the smell of all those great Christmas goodies? Well, this year, many of us may not have that, but you can help the less fortunate this Christmas. Empowering Ministry Through Music is hosting a virtual gospel telethon on Sunday, December 6th at 6 p.m. called Christmas 3. From the comfort of your home, you can help a family in need by donating to fundmetnt or making a donation through our First Citizens Bank account number 252-5937. We will be streaming live on Empowering Ministry Through Music, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram pages. You have the power to help a family enjoy a meal. Visit us on social media at Empowering Ministry Through Music for more information. Christmas 3, December 6th at 6 p.m.
The Gospel of the Kingdom radio program with Gilbert James is now on the Street 919 FM every second, third, and fourth Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m. and every first and third Sunday from 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. Monday. The Bible says, the Gospel of the Kingdom shall be preached in all the world as a witness to all nations, and then the end shall come. For more info, call 652-0924 or 298-4540 and join us every second, third, and fourth Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m. and every first and third Sunday from 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. Monday for the Gospel of the Kingdom radio program with Gilbert James.
ABC Supermarket. Baila! This is Iwer George, Cleaver Road and environs.
Put food on your table, ADC is affordable. Put food on your table, ADC is affordable.
They have the best price with a wide range of snacks and sweets. Meat Fridays, Market Saturday, big specials on alcohol. Located in Cleaver Road, just off the main road in Derby. ADC Supermarket.
Put food on your table, ADC is affordable. Put food on your table. And don't forget, we have free delivery.
Real good prices, boy.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iwer George on Instagram. Share the live. Iwer TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Well. If it's one thing I want is for the government to continue inside of that. The government to look at the government to tell me that we are one more fed. Yeah. I want to get wide. I want to get crazy. I want to be a boss. I'm a pretty lady. We do what we have to do. But yeah, what I want to do. If I had one wish, mash up the place. One more time, mash up the place. Shut up the place. If it's one thing I want is for the government to continue inside of that.
Check it out.
The government
Contemplate.
The government to tell me that we are one more fed. Yeah. I want to get wide. I want to get crazy. I want to be a boss. I want on a pretty lady. We do what we have to do. But yeah, what I want to do. If I had one wish, mash up the place. One more time, mash up the place. Shut up the place. If I had one wish, mash up the place.
people what them want. So when the big truck come down and the people in town, it's like the first time I play in man. So don't focus on what he said, don't focus on what she said. Just keep focus on Iwer. Listen what KMC said. When Iwer said to jump up, when Iwer said to wave up, KMC said to jump up and wave up and jump up and wave up.
Somebody say brand new. Brand new Iwer George. One wish. Travis worldwide. Travis will create all the magic outside there, boy. Trinidad Tobago, the rest of the world, Eastern Caribbean, all who are listening right now. The video is out. Yesterday though, mad though. I love the concept, George. All experiencing pandemic fever right now, fatigue. Saying, gosh, boy, no carnival in 2021. And wait quite 2022, boy. Just a jam on our man. Just a jam on our woman, boy. Life is shine. One wish, boy. What is your one wish? Some people one wish might be pandemic to end right now. Come up in our mass, man. Say Juve.
A lot of people.
What is your one wish? For those of you listening right now. One wish.
What's yours?
With my one wish, boy?
Yeah.
One wish, boy? I had one wish. Right now? Jump on our plane, boy.
I have one wish.
Where's the one wish?
To have 100 more wishes.
Is that genie? Well, let's share the live. Go on to Facebook right now. Street 919 FM. Share the live. Brand new George, boy. You realize something, blood?
What's on?
Plenty of the artists and really bringing on the new tune, no? Why is that?
I'm afraid of.
So we see now who love the culture and who in it for eating our food.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? All the men who say they love the culture. Well, the songs.
Yeah. With the music. Don't play all the whole and back take what time to, you know.
Right now we are being starved.
We need
radio personalities here for music right now.
We need soca music. We need it.
George, tell him once again, hey, you understand? I love the culture, you know. You know, Tano Carnival and George still bringing out tune.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Where all the big artists, all the tunes, well I see voice bring out a tune. You understand what I'm saying? But with the rest of the artists. Hey! Because to my friend Mandy, she said they didn't care what the culture at all. Yeah. Nah, they didn't care what the culture. Don't need care what's going on in the pockets. I mean, teach Jonah. Pick up to all the artists who in the studio right now about to bring on new music. George tell them, you know, hey, I need in the way once again.
Yeah. Off to the tracks.
Road March champion. So come on, champion. No champion as well too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, at 2:30, make that transition to Prime Minister's presser.
Update today?
Yeah?
We gonna update today?
We gonna update today, boy.
Right,
We gonna update today, boy.
Right?
What I was opening up for?
Nah. Like one thing. Now one thing I'll show.
Enough with it.
But really, actually, what else it have to open? Just the
no restrictions, you know.
Because basically everything accessible, everything open.
Everything open.
The only limitations right now
is with the in-house dining, where no alcohol could be served.
Oh,
right. So that's one of the limitations on the bars as well. The bars.
No gathering in
the bars. No gathering in the bars. That's how they buy and go.
Yeah. They go there and ride out.
I mean, we still fortunate right now in certain parts of the US right now. You know, some of the bars ain't really getting the blight that we get, you know. Yeah. You understand? Right now, in Toronto, Ontario, they are undergoing a lockdown right now.
Next
lockdown? Them on that lockdown right now.
They have a upsurge.
Yeah, upsurge in the cases. You understand what I'm saying? So, we gotta say thank you for that. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. All the people who complaining, trust me.
Yeah.
You know, we're not in a bad state. We're in a bad state. Because like even St. Lucia right now, they have upsurge in cases. Yeah. You understand?
Wow.
So, I mean, we
will do.
We could do. Hey.
Hold on, Trinidad Tobago, hold on.
Stand firm. So I don't know what else is there that the Prime Minister might probably announce. Maybe he's up with the in-house dining, who knows?
Yeah, he might increase it a little bit.
You understand?
Because it's how much is it? 10?
10, yeah.
It's 10.
Yes, 10, yeah.
Alright.
So I don't know if they might increase it or things might probably remain as is. But you know there are still restrictions on the referrals.
Okay.
Yeah, there's still restrictions on that.
Oh right, yeah, because I remember. It's just the beaches that open.
Yeah. I believe probably they might still leave that restriction.
Yeah.
Until.
Yeah.
You know?
So many people like the little corridor kind thing up in the river, and you know.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
You know, but I see people behaving to be themselves on the beaches and then I ain't really see no.
Yeah. You went up on the beach?
I'll pass through up on the north coast.
Right. I always have plans to go on the beach, but a certain person within Sawa. This interrupt the missions now.
Who's that?
They're listening. They're listening. They know themselves.
They're listening, right?
They know themselves. But next week, please, little Lord, I don't make a drive up there and take a sea breeze.
Up on the north coast.
Yeah, that's with us.
Yeah. Some mentions of mine, they invite me to go up 2 courses last week. Got a little small line back and make it, boy. Yeah.
Up there?
Up on the 2 courses, yeah.
Tuco,
boy.
Alright.
Yeah.
They fix you up there already? I don't know. Like the Bocas going up there?
Yeah, up there shaky right now. Part of the road? Yeah.
Hey, Showtime, Christian Evil team in Tuco. They're linemen right now. Well, they're from up on that side, so come like home for them.
Right now,
they're just breezing, taking.
I think next time with the pandemic, a lot of people linemen within the area.
Yeah.
Nobody really straight, outside of that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Beat on people linemen and beat up. Sealots linemen and sealots.
Yeah.
And back of the people linemen and then back of the. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, people within the zone too. Yeah.
And you know, that's another positive out of everything too,
Can I bring it back a community vibes?
Community vibes, yeah.
Because
everybody, you know,
people say, hey, who's seeing now, why now? You still living up here?
The senior now.
Yeah.
Some of them might be fed up to senior because every day the senior, it was like, but every day I had to see you.
Yeah, that's
you know right?
Yeah. So I mean,
bring back all the nice vibes in the place too, so
people like thing. You see now more community spirit too.
Yeah.
In most communities, I can't say all, but in most. So guys, if you're now checking in, Street 919 FM, sort of culture blend. New time, wanna get familiar? Alright, get familiar. Remember, go on to the live right now, Street 919 FM, share the live. If you're on your mobile phones right now, for everyone that is listening, see everybody listening right now, blend. Right, go up and share the live. Remember, this afternoon, right, season celebration with Parang Jam featuring Trisha Hamilton, Snakey and Derek Seals at 5 p.m. Live on Iwer Stage, Parang Jam, boy. Right, so guys can look out for Trisha Hamilton, Snakey and Derek Seals at 5 p.m. right? Remember the platforms you can go up onto view Iwer Stage live on Facebook, Street 919 FM. You can go check YouTube, Iwer TV, and also Iwer George on Instagram, alright? Contribute to your culture and always be a winner. Remember, you could also make contributions using a B-Mobile or digital handset. Text 9191, which allows you to contribute only $20. Also, you can go to fundmetnt, choose the campaign of your choice, and contribute. Also, the US fans, please use Cash App payable to 1-863-594-3659. Alright, this week on Iwer Stage, you can also win a portable Bluetooth speaker system. Right, remember last week someone won the flat screen TV. So you have the opportunity to win something just by your contributions, you know. Contribute to the culture. For those, you know, who of you who love the culture and want to support the artists. Some of the artists, you know, have it tough right now. So go up on different platforms and make your contributions, right? So One Wish by the boss in Iwer George. Check it out. The video is out. Big up to the boss in Iwer George. Travis Will. Mad combination. Also featuring KMC. Ken Malon Charles, boy. Yeah. So we got the backyard to feature, and then we're gonna make the crossover. Yeah. Alright. So we're gonna feature the backyard with him.
Hey fellas! But I know come there, boy. Yeah, boy. Auntie, she call and say, hey! Last year you treated me bad. Real bad. You take me around me yard. Up again. Social distancing. Fire. When you paranging. Hey! Social distancing. Play. Wash your hands and sing. She call and say, hey, come down there and check shit. Come. Last year you treated me bad. Real bad. You take me around me yard. Up again. Social distancing. Fire. When you paranging. Hey, social distancing.
This is the man XZ.
And sing around me house. Your hands and sing around me house.
Shout out to the crews out there in Morocco, St. Joseph on this one.
No damn house, around me house.
Alright, then who's next? Backyard Rhythm.
Bring me your rum. Bring me your rum. Just play your rum.
Into the man Chenko.
Just bring me your rum. Bring me your rum. Just play your rum. Somebody don't understand it. No, from the time I'm feeling like I'm private, just stand up straight and jump out. Hey, I share to them all the time. What do you run? You say hi. There we go.
Don't make it just live on Facebook, 919 FM.
All my friends have seen me with money.
Go up and share the live, right?
They know I don't be happy. When I buy the rum,
this afternoon, Kang Jama.
When I take my first sip, hey,
DJ Trisha Hamilton.
Hey, bring me rum.
Nikki.
Hey,
Derek sees at 5 p.m. right?
Until till the
money though.
Just bring the rum. Bring the rum. Just bring the rum. Real meaning of Christmas. Now will you remember?
It's the man up, the project. When there'll be a C-Boys boy.
When you're
to the grand team on this one.
Never forget. When you're paragon, he never fail you yet. When you're eating your white dog. When you're rushing your white dog. I want you to remember why you're here. There's a special reason why you're here. Yeah. Such a lovely feeling this time of the year. Everybody loving one another and showing they care. But you can't forget the one who died for you.
Remember?
Can't forget the one who see you through. Hey, hey. When you're paragon, I want you remember. When you're paragon, think about the Savior. When you're paragon, don't ever forget.
That's my bad trainer, the project.
He never fail you yet.
You're coming? Well, if I say I'm coming, I'm coming. No other bed.
To the man Sheldon Nuggets. In the backyard rhythm.
Even when we come and spend Christmas with she in Maruga, down in the country. She said her house is not a home. And for Christmas she don't want to be alone. She said if I come down, I like it there. Flora and fauna, great atmosphere. Boy, I guarantee to make you happy. Down in the country. If you take time to come down by me, down in the country. In Mahoga Christmas every night. Down in the country. Come and let's celebrate the birth of Christ. Down in the country. Come and check me in the country. For the Christmas, we gon' make merry. The woman said that she done prepare. Pastor baby, sorry, ginger beer. Anything I want to eat, I could get. She'll put on me.
Who's next call, Tablan?
Make me sweat. She said,
Hey, we are all my Caribbean people. This is Sick Boss, and I am a chef for the Christmas. We are all my Caribbean people. This is Sick Boss.
Featuring myself, sort of.
Check it out. Contemplate.
I see best chef when I'm out on the street. Hey, we are all my Caribbean people.
Guys need to get familiar with this rhythm. It's called the backyard rhythm. Shout out to Marsha, boy, loving it tune, right then. So put on your meat, once I in your house. Life go be sweet.
I see best chef when I'm out on the streets.
When they come to woman, I love to eat.
Don't matter the time or day that I go. I love to spread joy wherever I go. I have the sauce.
So put on your meat.
Once I in your house.
Let me go. Come in, hey, bang by day.
I'm making the master too. Once I hit your house, real sweet, life go be sweet. Nobody mache. Lama we, oui.
boy, the pranks on an I land by. Should I want to get FM.com? Yeah. Sort of concept letter. Oi, neighbor, oi, I come in. Hey, bing bang buddy. Neighbor, oi, I come in. Daddy flick for the Christmas, though. When I come my house, I was saying, neighbor, oi, I come in. Daddy hashtag blur.
Boy, I was going to say something, but
Oi! No, that can be another thing.
Neighbor?
So people too extra friendly
Yeah,
with the neighbor.
come in. Some they say come in, but they're really good in it.
People ask me, where's the sauce, boy?
Where's the sauce?
Yeah, boy.
Where's the chef? He's supposed to know.
Nice for me to know and follow to find out.
Yeah.
Hey.
White sauce?
White sauce?
White sauce? Is that how? What color is sauce? White?
I know what kind of sauce I deal with.
White.
I know it's white.
White sauce?
White. Hey. Oh gosh, we're not that time, boy. Yeah,
nice.
press are coming up. Pay attention to the Prime Minister's press conference, right? Keep it locked on to the Street 919 FM.
What you say? You want it here? Here? Where you want it? You know, stop looking at me. How I gonna know what to put it?
Why are you studying again for Christmas? Eh?
Oh God, just tell me what you want, sweetie. Anything. And it shall be given unto you.
Oh, well, our car, our washing machine, our dryer, our TV, our shoes, our beds,
Christmas morning. Christmas morning. A man and the wife end up in a fight cause out left and right. The man feel she horning. She horning. He tell she do, darling, it's Christmas time. You bring me gift from your heart, I bring from mine. Anything you want, honey, I was me a dime. Tell me what you want for Christmas. Tell me what you want for Christmas. She said, I want clothes. I want shoes. Don't pick up nothing, honey. I want shoes. I want house. I want land. The man get some breakfast, say, well, it's best you go and let I want buy that for you. Oh, Christmas morning, I want how your name calling so. And I want that. I want this and I want that. You bring your ham and sorrel, we bring me shak and quattro. I want this and I want that. I want this and I want that. What you want, what you want, what you want, what you want, what you want. Ayo. Iwa. Baila. They say church and them causing plenty pain and suffering early Christmas morning. Christmas morning. People want to know what caught in the wrong, whether it is true or a misunderstanding.
Silver's ring, are you listening? Showrooms filled, products glistening, a beautiful sight. Big savings tonight. Standard is a discount wonderland. Need a fridge for your kitchen, brand new bed. Standards listen. listening. Great prices you see, best in TNT. Standards got the best sale in the land. With the My Terms payment plan, you save more. You decide how you'd like to pay. The lowest interest rates in the country. At Standard, it feels like a holiday. Sale bells ring. Are you listening? Come to Standard, where it's happening. Our price has been shared. Best sale of the year. Standard is a discount wonderland.
With each passing day, it's getting closer to Christmas, and there's lots of specials around, but not as great as Super Quality One-Stop Supermarket. We have the lowest price on all ham and turkey, Christmas goodies like black cake, assorted biscuits, mixed nuts, fresh vegetables and produce, also Christmas decorations, household mini appliances, curtains, rugs, and so much more. Super Quality is the perfect one-stop shop with lots of parking at our 3 locations. Tissue Drive, Twin City Industrial Estate behind IAM, 98 Endeavour Road, Shoguanas, and number 14 Exchange Road in Couva. Check us out today. Super Quality for the lowest prices this Christmas. Also, don't forget to follow us on Facebook or call 223-9715. It's all about Super Quality this Christmas.
Turn your lights down low and listen to the Master's Radio.
The Church of the Firstborn Assembly Miracle Center of 399 Eastern Main Road, Waiko in Sangre Grande is pleased to present Pastor Morris and Agnes Johnson and guests on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays here on the Street 919 FM. The Ministry of Worship Children's Hour and the Word is on Sundays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. On Tuesdays from 9 p.m. to midnight, see Jesus in every book of the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. And on Wednesdays from 9 p.m. to midnight, where we deal with current affairs from a biblical perspective. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell everyone. For further information, visit us at www.churchofthefirstbornassembly.org or find us on Facebook. Email us at church668hope@gmail.com or call us at 753-1113 or 236-7271. Your free will gifts and offerings will be greatly appreciated. First Citizens Bank account number 795222.
Turn your radio on. Turn your radio. Turn your radio on. Turn your radio on.
Hi there. I'm Lester Suglal, inviting you to join me on the first, second, and third Saturday, 8:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. for the program Slow Gospel Music, and on the fourth and fifth Saturday from 8:30 p.m. for an extended version of Slow Gospel Music on Street 91.9 FM.
There's only one way to start your week right, and that's to reset with Dr. Livette. Join him right here on your radio every Monday morning at 9 a.m. for your dose of the health and wellness program that is sure to change your life. Dr. Livette has transformed thousands of lives over the last decade and is now live on the Street 919 FM every Monday from 9 a.m. to transform yours. Tune in to learn more about herbal blends and U-Juice for building your immunities and promoting overall great health. Dr. Livette on the Street 919 FM. This and every Monday at 9 a.m. Don't diet, live mighty, live healthy, Livette.
Every child is incredibly intelligent. Parents, reach higher. Be stronger. Join Olive Reyes Clark, producer of the IBG line of educational products, right here every Thursday morning at 11:15. Get the genius out of the children. Hear how you can work with the IBG phonic program and see your children learn at least 200 times faster. Remember, IBG guarantees rapid progress for champions to turn this nation around. It's right here on 91.9 Showtime FM every Thursday morning at 11:15. For more info, call 336-3896 or 725-READ.
Like it. Steamy. Hey, this is your boy Jordan Zespos, and I will be hosting a virtual live Zest on Iwer Stage this Sunday, 5 p.m. And I'll be featuring some special artists too. We got Two Gun 4th Jenna and Live 4th Jenna. And it's that. So you don't know, 5 p.m. Sunday with Steamy Iwer Stage. We're live, and it's that. Okay. Akela.
Streaming live on Instagram at Iwer George, Facebook Neil Iwer George, and YouTube Iwer TV. It's Iwer Stage.
Baby, come to me. I want you to bring your bumper on my side. I want you to bring your bumper on my side. Them boy already, they can't handle the ride. I want you to bring your bumper on my side. Girl, bring the thing for me, come. Girl, bring the thing for me, come, girl. 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 Bring the thing for me. Them boy up to it, Tony watching it, them me touching it. Yo, them boy can handle it, let me sample it, I dismantle it. No, you want a man to crack you like this. Your wine burning me high like this. Forget them boy and come to my place. If you're selling a short to purchase, you got love acting all in their face, they better update. Cause you don't got no time to wait. I want you to bring your bumper on my side. I want you to bring your bumper on my side. Them boy already, they can't handle the ride. I want you to bring your bumper on my side. Girl, bring the thing for me, come. Girl, bring the thing for me, come, girl. 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 Bring the thing for me. Just come when I contact you, bring that bumper for me. Back it back to soca play. You don't stand up like statue, man. Get upset, they have to take Andrew. Give me that, please. Yes, thank you. Your friend good, but can't do what you can do. Tonight we not going home like Tambu. You make enough man want to bust bamboo. Tell me here running games on you. You make me wanna put this thing on you. And just bring the bumper for me. Bring the bumper for me. And I sure to make your dreams come true. I want you to bring your bumper on my side. I want you to bring your bumper on my side. Them boy already, they can't handle the ride. I want you to bring your bumper on my side. Girl, bring the thing for me, come. Girl, bring the thing for me. for me, come, girl. Bring the thing 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 for me, girl. Come to me, baby, come to me. Just bring the bumper for me, bring the bumper for me. Don't make your dreams come true. Bring the thing for me.
Trinidad, everything cool, everything real fine. Long time you don't come back home to enjoy myself for Christmas. Alright, this girl Caroline, she's a good friend of mine. She always have real lime. But let me tell you this one time, this girl she got the sweetest mind. That really blows my mind. This girl she got the sweetest wine. Then she was on my spine. Well, long time you don't check Caroline for the real fine wine concoction. It make me eye touch the sky, me not lie, me body can't function. So soothing, just soothing, make me move in slow motion. You understand me, Capitan? This girl, she got the sweetest wine. That really blows my mind. This girl, she got the sweetest wine. Then she was on my spine. Well, I've experienced many wines in the world, no lie. But this girl, a wine is worth more than gold. Well, lad, well, woman, where you get that refinery? I would like some more your winery. Your wine and the wine of the century. Don't give me no harm on a turkey. No scotch, no rum, no whiskey. Them think you satisfy me. Woman, you got the remedy. Because she have the sweetest wine. That really blows my mind. This girl, she got the sweetest wine. Then she was on my spine. Alright, no defying, no denying. This girl have the best crew. You listening, you hearing what the ram's telling you. Me lying? Alright then, hear what the ram's do. I went and sample all the crew. So hear me view. I sample Donna wine, I sample Sonia wine, I sample Keisha wine, Sherry and Kelly wine. Some of them was fine, but none of them refine. Not as sweet as Caroline, because she have the sweetest wine. That really blows my mind. This girl, she got the sweetest wine. Then she was on my spine, boy. Left New York, come Trinidad, everything cool, everything real fine. Long time you don't come back home to enjoy myself for Christmas time. This girl Caroline, she's a good friend of mine, she always have real life. But let me tell you this one time, this girl, she got the sweetest wine. That really blows my mind. This girl, she got the sweetest wine. Then she was on my spine. Well, long time you don't check Caroline for the real fine wine concoction. It make me eye touch the sky, me not lie, me body can't function. So soothing, just soothing, make me move in slow motion. You understand me, Capitan? This girl, she got the sweetest wine. Oh Lord, that really blows my mind. This girl, she got the sweetest wine. Then she was on my spine.
Related issues on your various platforms. Today I have the of the Minister of Health, and Dr. Trotman with us. So without further ado, I'd like to ask the CMO to give us our briefing as to where we at in our efforts at managing COVID-19.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Ministers, members of the media, members of the viewing and listening public. So we will first begin with the clinical update as of 4 p.m. on December 4th, and following that, Dr. Hines will go into a little bit more detail relating to the epidemiological situation over the last 2 weeks, and Dr. Trotman will give some details of some clinical cases as well as some public health measures that we want the population to follow. So with regards to total number of tests done in the public sector, 37,279. In the private sector, we are up to 28,177. Total number of tests are now at 65,456. The total number of positives since March 12, 6,735. Total recovered patients are 5,884.
the behavior that we are seeing in areas like malls, where we have allowed in-restaurant dining, what we are seeing, unfortunately, is that people are partaking of this, but not sanitizing appropriately. Now, you may say, well, the mall should come and wipe down where I am, but this is about us. This disease is about us taking a personal responsibility. Walk with your sanitizer. Walk with a tissue. Wipe where you just came from. Make it better for the person who is coming. Make it better for our country. So my message today is for us to remember what we have to do. We have to be part of a new normal. We have to continue with distancing. We have to continue with sanitizing. And we have to continue to wear our masks properly. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Trotman. Before I make any further intervention, I would like to ask the Minister to give us his perspective.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister, Minister Stewart Young, Minister de Norbriga, Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Hines, Dr. Trotman, ladies and gentlemen of the media, and the viewing and listening public. The coronavirus pandemic, again, I don't want to sound like a stuck record, but it is a fact, is again showing no signs. These are 1.5 million families who will not be celebrating Christmas with a loved one this year. What is our local situation? I want to give out a statistic which I think we haven't given out for a while. The case fatality ratio, which Dr. Hines could probably expand on, around the world, which is the number of persons who have died as the numerator, the top number, divided by the total number of positive cases. Around the world, the global average is 2.31. Now, the worst of countries are up at 29, but those are what you call outliers. On average, it's 2.31. What is our local figure? It is 1.8, which means we are below the global average, which is a good thing, But what Dr. Trotman has just said should be of concern for us as we move forward. She has told you, quite frankly, and in a very sincere fashion, that we are now concerned about our pediatric population. And what is happening around the world in this part of this phase is that the pediatric population is not immune from the ravages of COVID, from the more serious consequences of COVID. They are not brushing it off as we thought they would have 2 months ago. And what is coming out of all the data now is that young children, especially school-age children, and young adults between the ages of, let's say, 15 to 29 to 40, are now the new super spreaders. These are the populations that are spreading the virus more and more importantly, taking it home, where the elderly are going to bear the brunt of that. The elderly will die. So the message I want to give out this morning, this afternoon, is that Christmas 2020, we have to continue to invest in proper behaviors now for Christmas 2020, so that we could have a January which we can look forward to with our lives. Not only the lives of our grandparents, but those of our children now. So the simple message to leave you with, as I said 2 weeks ago in Tobago, I am asking all leaders of religion to speak to your flocks, whether you're in a church, a mandir, or a mosque, because Christmas gatherings are celebrated across the religious spectrum, which is a good thing for us. But this year, the message has to be, don't bring different webs of people together. All leaders of religion, all 41 MPs, NGOs, talk to your people, because it is happening. We are seeing it happening. Home gatherings. If we keep the home gatherings down and invest in proper behavior for December, I promise you, January 2021 will be something that we could celebrate with low numbers. Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Minister Dayal Singh. Members of the national population, you may recall that the last time I spoke to you, it was from Tobago. And I raised three matters. One was my exhortation to you, not just in Tobago, but in the national community at large, to avoid partying, especially in the context of the Christmas season and the congregation that partying encourages. I also spoke about our school-age population being at home for almost a year, and we are desperate to be able to have some face-to-face contact with our students and our children, our teachers. And I spoke about the prolonged period of border closure. Let me just say this, not for the first time, and I expect not for the last time. I'm saying to fellow citizens that this challenge that we're facing of COVID-19 is largely personal behavior driven. Whatever happens to us, good, bad, or worse, is going to be as a result of the overall personal behavior of the population. Such is the nature of the beast. And that is why I was very, very disturbed, where a small cohort of the population, which I presume is among the more educated, otherwise they wouldn't have got those jobs where they were in Tobago. They were young people who I would presume would be paying a little more attention to their well-being going forward. And they were supposed to be in a department where somebody ought to have been in charge. And even with these weekly, daily, hourly exhortations and all that's happening on the television that who wants to see it can see it, there was nobody in Tobago, in that department, to say, stop, this is not good. This is exactly what we're not supposed to be doing. And if our educated people, our managed people, could be behaving like that, I'm fearful of what is going to happen to the rest. And what can I ask of the rest if I can't ask and expect of those who thought that team building in Tobago had to involve that kind of behavior? I want to say that we are very now nervous about the Christmas over Tobago, because Tobago is a small population. Christmas season is for families, and additional to the families, I'm informed by my current information that Tobago is pretty much booked up. The villas are booked up in Tobago. And some people, largely Trinidadians who go to Tobago now in a villa, believe that because you are in a villa in Tobago, it is a party to have. Could I appeal to you and say, enjoy your villa, enjoy the beach, enjoy the glass bottom boat trip, enjoy the hikes, but whatever you are engaged in, whatever it is you are engaged in, do not do so in large groups. And the best that you can do is to stay in your closest group, which is your closest family. Otherwise, we are going to end up like some countries who thought that they were having the better of this virus. I monitor this thing on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. And I've seen countries where the report was, yes, they got it done cork. Yes, they're doing the right thing. In fact, some of our own loudmouths here in Trinidad and Tobago were saying we were doing the wrong thing, and look what happened in there. They're doing the right thing. 14 days after, that those very countries would have seen a drastic turnaround in their circumstance, and they now find themselves being stretched for equipment, for hospital space, and for hospital personnel. It only takes a few days to go from feeling comfortable to realizing that you are being overwhelmed. The yardstick that we have been using and the influence that has been borne upon us throughout the management of this challenge has been to preserve our ability to provide medical care, requisite medical attention to persons who would need it. So far, so good. But we ask you before Diwali not to do your usual Diwali things. I think, by and large, that was observed. And looking at the results statistically, the national results, we can come to a conclusion that the Diwali period had not impacted negatively on our circumstance. But Christmas is a little different. Christmas is not a day. Christmas is a season. And as far as we are concerned, now we're in early December, we are in the season. And we really have to step up. We really have to become more responsible in the Christmas season. Let this Christmas be a Christmas with a difference. Not a difference because you've infected your grandparents and you lose one or two. You infected your neighbor or the person you hadn't seen for a long time. You infected that person. Let that not be the difference. And worse, let it not be the Christmas when you're a young child or children are numbered among the ones that Dr. Trotman just described. Let it be a Christmas where we let pass the normal things that we would have done which would have caused us to congregate. I could tell you, I represent Diego Martin West in the Parliament. A number of households and communities in the western part of Trinidad are populated by people who believe that it doesn't apply to them because they live in a high-end district. Well, there's no high-end COVID. You would meet the low-end hospital care and the morgue just like anybody else. And I'm appealing to you to not give yourself any pass because of where you live and who you are, because the national population is depending on you to not behave in that selfish way and expose us to a Christmas season where after Christmas we find ourselves in a situation where Dr. Hines is giving us a different report, that the declination on his curves have changed and we are now not flattening out but we're steepening up. If that happens, what we have planned for our children will not be usable, and of course, all of us would be the loser. So I'm just appealing again. The management of this crisis in Trinidad and Tobago has been done through national persuasion and appealing to the good sense of a mature population. And that is the most that we can do, in addition to enforcing the laws that we have made and are still making along the way. We are receiving the news that some vaccines are just about ready. I think this weekend in the United Kingdom, they would have started administering vaccines. And in the United States, very soon we expect that to happen. Two things are happening as a result of that good news. One is that it's displacing good behavior because some people are going to believe that, well, the vaccine is here, so we could exhale. And of course, others are beginning to tell you. I've seen it being printed already to avoid the vaccine because this, that, and the other. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope that we are not going to be one of those nations populated by people who believe that all that vaccines have done for the human race, that on this occasion, that we ought to avoid it because somebody thinks that it is damaging and dangerous and ought to be avoided. We in Trinidad and Tobago, we will stay with the science as we started, and we are an integral part of WHO, and we will take all our scientific guidance on the vaccination program from WHO. It is the government's position that once the vaccines are cleared by WHO as safe for human to administer to the human population for the benefits that we expect, once they are certified as ready by WHO, in the group that we are in, Trinidad and Tobago will accept and administer such vaccines to our population, and we trust that enough people in our population will trust the science and allow us to get the level of immunity that we anticipate, which will allow the virus to have difficulty finding infectable people. Not that it will disappear overnight, but the more people who are vaccinated and not being put in a position to transmit the virus to another person, the more persons of that status that we have in the population, the more difficult it will be for the virus to move from person to person, and that difficulty will then eventually see a smothering of the virus population, and that's where we think we'll be getting the upper hand of it. So those are the appeals that I would make, and I would make it also to young people. Minister said age 15 to 40. I'm seeing invitations, I'm hearing about ideas for parties. Just understand, when you agree to do that, you are automatically agreeing to play Russian roulette with a deadly virus. I want to repeat that. When you agree to enjoy a party going forward into this season, by the invitations and the great ideas as to how you could party, just remember, once you agree to participate, you are agreeing to take a chance where the loss on that roulette table could be a loss of life. It might not be your own, just might be somebody who you'd rather have alive. So, what are the changes that we're going to make now? It is easy for us to say, well, our numbers are relatively good, so we should open up. The answer is no. The reason why the numbers are relatively good and going in the right direction is because of what we have been doing. Let me repeat that. It is not that the numbers are good, so therefore we must now open up and behave as though there's no challenge, there's no threat. It is because largely of what we have been doing that we have been able to report to you now that the steepened curve is now flattening out a bit and going in the right direction. Common sense will tell us to continue doing what we're doing because we're getting the result that we anticipated. Had it been different, we would have been saying we'd be doing something else. Fortunately, I don't have to tell you today that we have to go doing something more impressive. But we are taking the opportunity, as we have been doing all along, to take little steps forward, and keep our eyes on the prize of being able to not have a population of people requiring healthcare that is challenging us beyond our capacity. And of course, keeping our eyes on the graphs and the data which tell us that this level of infection is one that we can live with and must live with, but we continue to do other things in the country. So today, I want to, in anticipation of the Christmas shopping and in collaboration with the suppliers of Christmas goodies and the groceries, where we expect in the coming days there'll be more and more people going to do their Christmas shopping. And as they want to do that, the very thing that we don't want is what is going to happen. So we have agreed that we would allow groceries at the request of the grocers and with our own analysis, to allow groceries in supermarkets in particular, where people actually interact with one another very closely. Masked people going to supermarkets, we allow those places to open continuously, 24-hour opening. What that will do, it will spread out the number of people who are going or who intend to go to the grocery, because your time of going there is any time, any day between December 10th and January 3rd. During the period December 10th and January 3rd, the supermarkets and similar food supply places, retail places, can open 24 hours, and they will make necessary arrangements with the protocols outlined in the discussions that they've had with the Ministry of Health personnel. That is the only change that we intend to make today to the existing regime that is in place, so steady as it goes. However, as I said to you early on, my anticipation is that if we come out of Christmas with numbers that Dr. Hines can give us that tells us that we are in fact flattened, or better still, descending curve, we would want to take some interventionist action with respect to our children. So today I can tell you, in discussion with the Minister of Education and the Ministry of Health, it is the government's position that schools will open virtually, as home-based schooling, will reopen on January 4th. So technically speaking, as of January 4th, schools are open. However, there's an exam that usually takes place and for which many students are preparing and prepared. I'm told that that exam is the CXC January exam, which involves approximately 15,000 students. And those exams take place between January 17th and February 4th. We will allow those exams to take place so that there'll be this 15,000 young persons and their supervisors and whoever is in charge of them coming out during the period January 17th and February 4th to have those exams dispensed with. Of course, that is dependent on a good result for good behavior by the population over Christmas. So if the country has a good Christmas, meaning a Christmas of good results for COVID observations, then the benefit that we're going to get from that, we will see for the first time in a long time a cohort of our students coming out on January 17th, and they'll be there going out until February 4th for that examination. All things being good in that way, come February 8th, we will do what we have not done for a long time, which is to have our primary school children of standard 5 only come out on February 8th, pretty much a testing of the waters, and Form 4 to 6 in secondary schools. So 3 categories of students can begin to think about going back to face-to-face learning in school space. Primary education children, standard 5, across the country, with their teachers and principals and those who look after them, and Forms 4 to 6 across the country. So all things being equal, on February 8th, we would have dispensed, we would have been, from January 4th, we've been doing the virtual work. January 17th, the exams would start, finish on February 4th, and February 8th, additional students come out in the primary school, 1 batch, and secondary school 46 forms. And if we manage to do that, and of course, they will be masked.
Correct.
It would still be required that they be masked and very intensive sanitizing and sanitation activities in and around their spaces wherever they are. And additionally, the County Medical Officer of Health will arrange, and the Ministry of Health will take responsibility for having in each education district a roving school district and safety team. Ministry of Education, yeah, Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education will take responsibility for having a health and safety team led by a doctor and a batch of nurses who will go through the school system that's operating to ensure that the maximum response is being had both at the group level and with respect to the physical environment in which they work, enforcing all the protocols that we expect, and that is where Trinidad and Tobago will be. I can tell you, many months ago, some countries started out putting children back out to school. Things went pear-shaped. They had to grab them back home as quickly as possible. And some people still have not even come to a position of thinking of getting children out to school, but others have successfully done so. So this is our attempt to bring a fair amount of students out, and if things go well, it means that by February, we should be in a position of some semblance of opening up the school system again. I want to just say, this is not a personal promise. It's an expectation and a target that will be entirely dependent on the concentration of the infection in the country. If it is like it is now, then I'm confident we can go forward. See how? If it is not like it is now, if we over-party, over-drink, over-spread, and get over-infected, then what I just told you in anticipation of our children going back out of school, it is not going to happen. So every time you stay away from the urge to party, or keep your door closed and talk to your family on the phone for Christmas, send them all the gifts you want to send them, I think it's the thought that matters. A lot of talking on the phone, a lot of exchanges, small groups, close family body. If we do that, January we start Christmas into New Year's. By the middle of February, or I would say, 7 days into January, into mid-January, we will see what the outcome is. Because the incubation period of this virus is approximately 14 days. So by early January, we will know what the Christmas was like. Because into Christmas, after Christmas, heading to New Year's, 7 days after that, we will see what we have done. And hopefully, we would be able to report that we have come through, as we've done with Diwali, to be able to say we had the festival, it was a little low-key, it was enjoyable, it was what it was, but we did not use it in such a way that COVID got the better of us. So the other issue that I want to touch on, and I would ask Minister Young to come to the podium to give us a little briefing and update as to what we are doing and how we're managing with respect to our borders, because that is an area that at the first opportunity of good sense, we would want to relieve that pressure there, but the pressure is still on at the border. So Minister Young, take the podium, please.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister, Cabinet colleagues, CMO, doctors, members of the media, wider viewing and listening public of Trinidad and Tobago. We have some interesting statistics that I'd like to provide here this afternoon, just to give the population an understanding of what has been going on with our management of the exemption process and persons re-entering Trinidad and Tobago. And I guess I'll also give some comparative statistics for those leaving Trinidad and Tobago. I would like to start with July 29th as a marking point. So on July 29th of this year, remembering that our borders were closed on the 22nd of March, we had 5,539 applications for persons to enter Trinidad and Tobago. So on the 29th of July, we had 5,539 applications to enter Trinidad and Tobago. Fast forward to December 4th, which was yesterday's date. We had, as of December 4th, 15,471 applications being made to enter Trinidad and Tobago. I also did a comparative for the last 2 weeks. How many fresh applications did we have for the last 2 weeks of persons trying to come back, well, applying to come back to Trinidad and Tobago? So from the 20th of November to the 4th of December, we had 1,549. So it continues to rise. So 5,539 applications made as at the 29th of July. As at the 4th of December, 15,471. How many exemptions that were granted? As at the 29th of July 2020, 2,250. As at the 4th of December, we've granted 8,500 applications, and there would have actually been an increase in applications between the 4th and even today as we move towards the next set of repatriation flights, because we've been moving it up and doing it in grabs of hundreds. So as at the 4th of December, we've granted 8,500. That would have increased, leaving about 6,900 persons still asking, currently awaiting exemptions. Total number of persons who applied now to leave Trinidad and Tobago, 5,580 as at the 29th of July 2020. And as at 4th of December, 18,458. We've granted 10,760 applications for persons to leave. And that really is, when we grant these it's not really granting of applications to leave, that's persons who have made their arrangements and to leave Trinidad and Tobago. So Prime Minister, those are the statistics of what we've been dealing with. We have increased the number of repatriations over the last few weeks, as you would see from the information we've provided. We had hundreds more in quarantine, but we did a release last night. We are putting on flights pretty much within the 10-day period we had promised. We've increased the amount of persons on the flights to full plane capacity. We've been holding to what we implemented a couple weeks ago in terms of the testing, and when persons arrive here, testing them on the 6th day and having them released. We've increased the number. In fact, I was told this morning that we're now at maximum capacity with all of the state-supervised quarantine facilities, which are the hotels, the Cape Arc Hotel, Chancellor Hotel, the Cascadia Hotel, and the Regent Star Hotel. Over the next few weeks, they're fully booked, and we continue to do the best that we can. I was telling the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health that we will continue to look at the possibility of introducing other steps to ease up on the borders and what we may want to do with the borders when the Prime Minister requests it of us in the coming weeks.
Thank you very much. I just want to reaffirm that the closing of the border, Trinidad and Tobago's border, is an integral part of our COVID management. I've seen some people in frustration making the worst interpretation of that. Why don't you just open and let people come home? People want to come home, and so on, so on, so. From the very beginning, we made it clear that we closed the border as part of our COVID management. If we had an open border or brought in much larger numbers of persons in a controlled way, as we have to do now, if it's going to impact on our management of COVID, it would mean that we would threaten the health system that we are relying on to be able to be there in the event that the virus explodes in the country in a way that there's a greater demand for hospitalization and for healthcare professionals. So Christmas being what it is, the numbers that you heard back from Minister Young, we are relatively comfortable that the vast majority, if not all, almost all the persons who had just left here to go outside and discover that the borders closed while they wanted to come back home in some kind of time frame that was not a broad time frame, that those persons have been repatriated, the vast majority. Some of them actually were granted exemptions and they decided that it was inconvenient for them to come back, they stay out. But the vast majority of people who were taken by surprise, people who live here in Trinidad and Tobago, who had gone out and the border closed on them and found themselves on the outside and couldn't come back home in any short space of time, sometime in a matter of months, that most of those persons have come back in here. The growth in the numbers we are getting now, we believe is the normal holiday traffic, where people who live outside of Trinidad and Tobago, but who have a connection to the country and who normally would exercise the option of coming home for Christmas, they are making applications to come home for Christmas. But we will not be able to accommodate all of those persons, because if to accommodate all of those persons, you might as well just say open the border. But I just told you that the closure of the border is to allow us to manage the potential infections that we are exposed to. Minister Young seems to have something else he wants to tell you. I'm keen to hear that myself.
Sorry, Prime Minister, as you were speaking there, it reminded me there's one category of persons that is the seasonal workers who have gone to Canada. So in looking at the seasonal workers who have gone to Canada, they fell into two categories. There were some workers who had gone out before we closed the borders. And there, as you all would recall, there was another category of workers who we warned that if the borders continue to be closed, you'll have to abide by how we're managing those borders. They actually signed indemnities and releases and legal documents at that point in time. The government has begun the repatriation process of those Canadian seasonal farm workers. On a flight that we had from Canada recently, we granted the first batch, and we're working towards, we're going to have another flight from Canada next week, Saturday, and so we're working with that as well. And we are also going to look at whether we can work with the Canadians to see, but it will all depend on the quarantine space we have available to see if we can maybe have a repatriation flight for those persons and bring them back once we can find the quarantine room. But we have begun that process, and I just wanted to make that point, Prime Minister.
And I think that might be a good time to make another point in that vein, that some people who have been granted exemptions to come home and having the requirement of getting a PCR test that is not older than 72 hours, some persons have been having difficulty getting that test within that time frame. And some such persons have missed flights. So it's not uncommon or unusual that you might have heard a complaint of that nature. But the PCR test is still a requirement subsequent to the granting of the exemption. And if I may just point out that the reason why we are dealing with people wanting to leave the country is not that we're operating a national jail here. It is that because the borders are deemed to be closed, permission has to be, in law, obtained to go across the border because it is closed. And we have closed borders at this time. So people who are making arrangements to go out, we assist them in making the arrangements, and they could go in as large numbers as they wish. But it has to be complied with in the context of moving across a closed border. And of course, on the other hand, receiving persons coming to us who we have in the system of state provided or state supervised quarantine, that is a major part of the success that we have had in managing people into the country and within the country. So having said that, I think it's a good time to have some questions if you have any. It's quite all right if you don't have any, but if you do have any, we'll take them now. And you may, and if you know who exactly you would like to answer the question, you may identify the person and we'll try to accommodate you.
With respect to the revelation that we now have 3 children hospitalized, without compromising patient confidentiality, can you share with us something in terms of the characteristics? What are the commonalities? How might these children have contracted the virus, whether it was through exposure by their parents or were they in a setting, a common setting? And in terms of their nationality, are all these children Trinidadian children?
Yeah, so they would be nationals. In terms of the contracting the disease, of course, we're in a state where we have community spread. So meaning that the country, you can contract COVID-19 wherever you may go. So limiting contact, having those persons be with your family, your first group is the most important thing. Once you have persons leaving that your initial bubble, and even if they don't, you can have other persons in your family becoming positive, like a parent, bringing it back home to the children. So you need that whole unit to work very closely together to keep children safe. So we can't pinpoint it as to one location where they would have contracted. There's no particular risk factor, I would say, in the group as well. Once a child gets COVID-19, as far as we know so far, there isn't necessarily a group of risk factors that will make you have Miss C, as Dr. Trotman described, as opposed to any other child. Having said that, of course, persons with asthma and other factors, for example, asthma, obesity, and other chronic conditions like diabetes type 1, would be more prone to the ill effects of COVID generally in childhood as well. But in this particular grouping, I can't say that they do have any of those predisposing conditions.
Just identify yourself and pose your questions, please.
Good afternoon. Darren Baho from the Newsday. I'd like to ask you a question in relation to the broader perspective of going into 2021 and the economy, how the government is dealing with the loss of jobs across varying sectors, and whether or not the government can continue to shoulder the burden of paying public servants, all public servants that is, their full salaries and benefits, given the contraction of the economy and all the other factors which are affecting the revenue stream of the government.
Well, what we have been doing is all that we think we could do with respect to maintaining an environment in which production and productivity are supported. We maintained our manufacturing sector or construction sector, government development program, because all of these are major elements of the economy to which you refer. So what we have done is to try and do as much of it as we are able to. A fair amount of it on the government side is supported by some element of borrowing, as you would know. We run a deficit to do that, meaning that we spend some money now, expecting to be able to repay that money sometime not in the future. But now we need to support job sustenance. If you cast your mind back to that roadmap to recovery, one of the imperatives there was to retain jobs and create jobs. And we are doing that as far as we're able to. You would have seen only last week we turned this out for the construction of a major government building, the Ministry of Health head office. We did not shy away from that. That is a construction project which is being funded by the private sector, and it has a 15-year gestation period towards government ownership. But within 18 months or 2 years, the government would have the building for use. That would create a lot of jobs and economic activity. The Ministry of Works program is still going on, the Tobago House of Assembly. So we have a development program going on. And we also did ensure that there was money available to the private sector so that they could sustain their activities. You would have seen the Minister of Finance when he was a regular visitor to this briefing, telling you that we literally borrowed is it $2 or $3 billion, $3 billion to pay into the private sector monies that were owed and were being repaid very slowly in the VAT cycles. And we paid back into the private sector at the personal level, income tax that was owed and so on. So all of that was to put money into people's hands so that they will keep on doing what they would have been doing had there been no COVID. So we have sustained the economy in that way. And of course, you would have heard, I was in the program last Tuesday, I think it was, and there was a query about why did the government keep on supporting CPEP? And the answer to that has to be, and always has to be, that piece of the population for whom CPEP is their pay packet to allow them to purchase the necessities of life and for their children and those who they sustain. So we have sustained the economy in that way. How long the government will be able to do this, I don't know, but we'll do it for as long as we are able to, because that is the economy. If we ever come to a situation where we are unable to do it, well, then the options will then be clearer and different. But for the moment, we have tried to maintain an economy with a significant government sustenance and an encouragement to the private sector to remain engaged and to remain involved.
In light of those statements that you've made, there's a segment of society that depend almost primarily on the social welfare of the state. In other developing countries, the social welfare is actually reducing. And as you would know, remittances from abroad, from nationals to this country, and in particular the Caribbean, has slowed down because of the pandemic. Are those people, can you offer them some kind of sustenance or long-term plan of if they can continue receiving this type of benefit from the state? And in light of what you just said, that when you reach that juncture, that you will have to make a decision on where would you cut from, and who would benefit and who would lose?
Well, I guess what we've tried to do is we said that no one would be left behind, but there is a limit to what the government can undertake. And we have undertaken such a broad spectrum of support that I do not see the government volunteering more support now, given that we are struggling to maintain the very broad spectrum that we had before COVID and that we've added during COVID. And our spectrum is sufficiently broad to cover most people, not with gourmet meals, but certainly most people can move something from hand to mouth. The government has been very careful to ensure that we did not cut off from the support system persons who most require that support. We have in the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services, we got there are huge allocations in there trying to reach those people that I think you're alluding to. And the other people who are slightly better off, they may not be in their perfect position, but we have to hold the line until things get better. And the government is not in a position to come forward and say, well, okay, let's add this, let's add that. Because remember, we were already, before the COVID threat, we were already operating on a deficit, even though a reduced one. In 2016, we had run a deficit of about $16 billion, but we had brought that down to a much, much lower level. And immediately after the budget of 2020, we got into a situation where we had to go back into the increased deficit again, and all of that borrowing is earmarked to support the economy, the private sector support, and those persons that you're talking about, persons who are depending on the government for their next meal, and they are not small numbers of them. And we in Trinidad and Tobago, we don't have, outside of the National Insurance Board, we don't have a contributory system. It is largely a state-funded forgati system, and therefore there's a limit to that. And unfortunately, this demand is happening at a time when government's revenues from its main revenue stream has also been constricted. So it's a double whammy, but we have to make do with less. And that's why we have to be careful that we don't splurge, that we're not wasteful, and that we don't ignore those who are entirely dependent on the state.
This is a follow-up on that point. Of course, I'm sure you would have mandated at your cabinet meetings that the value for every dollar spent is well worth it.
We always do that.
And there was a recent report coming out of Tobago about the construction of bus sheds around the country at an increased cost And I don't know if that is a priority right now in terms of the government to build bus sheds when people are without jobs.
If you couch it in that way, I will then respond by saying the bus shed wouldn't have dropped from Mars. Somebody would have built it. And that would have been somebody's job building it. So from that standpoint, whatever you do, you create an opportunity for somebody. I don't know the details of that, but across the government, we make tens of thousands of decisions. And not everyone would meet muster on every day. So a bus shed is low down on the priority list in my corner. Somebody else is dealing with that, you know. But just picture if somebody got a petty contract to build a bus shed, or somebody got a few days' work to build a bus shed, you know, the economists talk in terms of the principle of digging a hole to fill a hole and just keep you digging. You pay to dig the hole. So these things, let's not get upset by that. I mean, you could try to beat up on somebody for making a low priority decision, but there are some upsides to it. You might say to me, what are we doing building the Ministry of Health head office now? And I would say to you, okay, maybe 2,000 people will end up getting jobs there. If they were not working there, where would they be? Because for them to get a job, they got to be somewhere working, and somebody has to undertake to fund it, and it has to be a project. And somebody will say that mopping the ward is not a good thing to do because you're wasting money in a pandemic. You can go to the extreme. But by and large, we do have a development program in the country, and the THA would have its own construction program, whatever they are. They'll still be doing roads, they'll still be painting schools, because these are the things you do. And many people who get jobs doing those kinds of things. We are in the Ministry of Agriculture. We are encouraging a lot of activity there and putting some money in there as well. Not because it's a low priority, but it's a high priority in supplying food, but it also provides opportunity for earning from people who get involved in doing the program that we are engaged in.
Prime Minister, during the last press conference, we spoke about a certain amount of funding being made available for bar owners to help them. When would that funding become available if it has not already been made available?
I left that to the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Finance. There were two aspects of it I had mentioned. One was for the employees who had lost their jobs because of bar closures or lost a job in the extended closure. There was a 10 million which the Ministry of Finance would make available, and I left it to them. This morning I discussed it a little bit, and I'm hoping that the arrangements to disburse that would come in for the Christmas season for these people who will qualify. You have to qualify to get it. You have to be in that category. And the other one was the owners of the businesses who would have had stresses because of the reduced earnings, that they could tap into what the Minister of Finance had put in place already for small and medium businesses. So I expect that the Ministry of Finance would be doing or would have done what had to be done to allow them to qualify and to accept that bit of assistance.
One question to you. 2 weeks ago, we would have spoken to you at the Sword Turning about whether or not legislation could be used to try and regulate some of these gatherings. And we were saying that weddings, in particular, there was a differentiation which allowed persons to have large numbers as opposed to paying at the door sort of policy. Was any headway made with that, and in terms of the renewed calls by Prime Minister and the others for smaller gatherings during the season?
So, thanks for the question. So, in talking to the Honorable Attorney General up to Thursday, his department is still working with the Ministry of Health's legal team to see if it can be done, how it can be done. But the message still has to be, we must act responsibly. We ought not to have the state telling people or going into your private homes telling you how to behave. We want the majority of people to behave responsibly, with or without the state's heavy hand. But let's use the light touch, the moral suasion until that happens, if it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't mean it's a free-for-all. Let's behave responsibly. And I could tell you, I was very disturbed last night where I live. there was a Zessa party less than a quarter mile away from me. And the residents called me this morning in total frustration because the owner of that property continues to distress the community. I reported it again to the police, and hopefully they can do something. So I am representing my constituency here on that particular question. Thank you very much.
Where weddings are concerned, if you have a wedding in a church, there is an arrangement where in the church function, you use 50% of the normal spacing that's available. So that will cover weddings. The problem is when the participants in that church wedding goes to a venue like a home and use the same number or more at home, because these things are social symbols, and some people just believe that their symbol is more important than the national well-being. And of course, it is tied up with the whole question of rights and protection under the Constitution. I'm king of my castle, and the police can only come by the gate. What goes on in here is for me. But if what goes on in there is the spreading of COVID, you know how that story goes. Because spreading it home in your house, you didn't spread it in the church because you were spaced out in the church. Well, 50%, a big church will have a larger number of people and so on. But when you go to the personal, which is why I said earlier on, success or failure in managing this challenge, at the end of the day, it is how we behave at the personal level. And some of our population are not entirely on board with our effort to evade the worst of this challenge.
I have you there before I invite Minister Young to answer one question. We've seen the bodies of two of our nation's women, Ashanti Riley and the mother, Ms. Espinosa, this week. And we have hundreds more missing. Can you share your thoughts on that with us? Just, the outrage, the public cries for help, more to be done.
You want to know why outrage? In this country where I live, I'm a father of 2 daughters. I'm an uncle to a number of nieces, cousins. And when the news comes to me about somebody experiencing that, I physically feel the pain and say, what would I have done if that was me? Because I, too, am exposed to that. I couldn't say much more, except that among us, there was a judge who had dealt with the Manu Benjamin case, and he had made a description of Manu Benjamin. Remember that story? Unfortunately, we still produce some of those amongst us. And we have to always be on the alert that we could be the next victim. And there's something happening. I mentioned it to the Minister of National Security, and the population is going to have to deal with this matter somewhere along the way. There was a time in this country when you could not operate a motor vehicle for hire unless you were cleared by the state to be a person of good character, your vehicle was so marked, and then you were authorized to do that because of the danger involved in any Tom, Dick, and Harry operating a motor vehicle and is allowed to pick up people in that vehicle, and then you end up with this as the outcome. There are, in Trinidad and Tobago today, a large number of people, so it's not a small number, operating motor vehicles unknown to the state's registry because there's no real registry. Since we have disbanded the system of you coming and licensing your vehicle every year, I'm coming to the conclusion that the state does not have a good handle on who is operating motor vehicles in this country. And among those people, many of them are people who should have nothing to do with picking up people with a motor vehicle, because their character is not a recommendation to the rest of the population. It's happening. And the question that is before me now is, what do we do about it?
Prime Minister, today the fourth anniversary of the death of Shannon Banfield. It's one of those cases which sparked a national outrage, as like Ashanti Riley. And in that instance, you made some pretty strong remarks then. And you said my heart goes out to the distressed family. And you went on to talk about unspeakable horror that they're experiencing and so forth. But following that incident, you spoke in Parliament about allowing young women and girls in particular who travel in rural areas and urban areas using PH taxis. Most of the time that is what is available after hours. Being able to use pepper spray and tasers. Now, that was in 2017. The Minister of National Security, he spoke about it in 2019 in Parliament, talking about how do we legislate, allow that and prevent criminals from having that same weapon now used against people. Now, what is the position of the government? Women are not safe to walk the streets. They are heckled, catcalled on the promenade, in the malls. They're abused. What would you tell the mother of Ashanti Riley or young people like that who have to venture out, and the only means of transport is a PH taxi?
Given the practicalities of the situation, the most that I could really say to the national population is that we have to always be cognizant of our personal safety. Whatever that means, whatever you do, wherever you go, whether you go alone, who you go with, safety and personal security cannot be taken for granted as it used to in an earlier time. And if you are a parent or guardian, you also have to just be careful. But we can't, you see, the criminal has an advantage that is not surrendered until the crime is committed. The criminal picks the time and the place. And in the discussion over the pepper spray that you mentioned, the advice that we get from many people in some court is that because the person carrying it would only be required to use it if the criminal decides to commit the crime, it doesn't guarantee you that you are not going to be at the disadvantaged end when the criminal chooses the point at which the crime is committed. And then it will be available to the criminal too. And the very threat of being pepper sprayed might even make a woman more vulnerable to such a criminal. Because if pepper spray is available to Tom, Dick, and Harry, and someone says to you, if you get into a car or if you're walking the street and someone threatens you with it, it becomes harmful to you in the hand of somebody who has made the decision to commit a crime against you. So, you know, it's like the firearm is the same thing. You got a firearm in your pocket, and somebody looks at you and sees that you may have a firearm in your pocket, they choose not to attack you. But on the other hand, if they can get behind you and put their gun behind your head, then they make that decision. You never making that decision, unless, of course, you would have sussed them out from a distance and say, listen, that fella look as if I may have to walk on this side of the street or so on. So the criminal always has that advantage, that they choose, and that choice that they make is what puts you at a disadvantage. So you always have to be careful that such a choice could not be made to put you at a disadvantage. But in the end, We're not cloistered within our four walls of our home. We have to come out. We have to go to school. We have to go to work. We have to visit our family, as the poor child was doing. And, of course, we have to live with the rest of the national population. Unfortunately, there is evil in our society, like any other. And the question is, are we doing anything to encourage it, to discourage it, or staying away from it in a way that it doesn't affect us personally? But these developments in recent days are not the pain of a family. It's a national pain. Every one of us is diminished by the news of what happened to that child or the children who have been assaulted by, those who have been assaulting them, So this is just another one of the challenges that we have to face. And if there are things that we can do or must do, all I could say is that let's identify such things and do them.
You don't think that women should be given at least a fighting chance, even though that they may be overpowered? They will be defenseless without any form of defense. Venturing outside.
I am not a personal security expert, but if there is anything that could be done along those lines, I am sure. Yeah, I'm just being reminded that Manu was called the Beast of Bish. That was Bish. That was since I was going to school. Right? I'm sure there are things that can be done, but I would rather let the personal security experts handle that and advise the government as to what we can do. But I would say if there are things that we can do, then we should do them. But if the solution is going to create new problems and pose new threats, because frankly, a pepper spray in a woman's purse is something quite different to a person attacking you in the way that child might have been attacked. You understand? It is not a guarantee that it would have improved your circumstance. And some people might fall prey to it being used on them.
I may be subject to correction, but if I'm not mistaken, the registration of the migrants, the Venezuelan migrants who had registered, I know that had been extended until December the 31st. What is going to happen at the end of this month? Because I know there are concerns from that community as to what is going to be.
All right. So, with respect to the Venezuelan migration registration process, I met with immigration and the public servants this week, and I'm going to be approaching Cabinet very shortly. At this stage, we have a number of decisions to make. The one thing I think I will get Cabinet support from is an extension of the Venezuelan migration, the Venezuelan registration migrants, an extension of their tenure, so to speak. And it'll be up for Cabinet to decide for how long. We'll probably go with 6 months in the first instance. But one of the things I had a very brief discussion with the Prime Minister on this week, and I'll refine it and go to Cabinet, is we are probably going to require that they fill out new forms, because you all would require recall when we did it in the first instance, we said 6 months after you'll come in, you'll provide us with new information, so we'll update your information, we'll have an idea of where you're working, your telephone numbers and your new address, if there's a new address, etc. So that is something we're exploring. It will not be the same type of system that existed before, because we already have the information of those who are registered. But I think we will be heading towards requiring persons to fill out a form that they want to continue in this process. Not that there will be any new persons allowed to register whatsoever. We are not allowing any further registration of any new persons, but we are probably going to require people to update their information for our records, and that has a number of benefits for the state.
Minister, as you're on the podium, you had a meeting yesterday with your Venezuelan counterparts on human trafficking issues, numbers of other security issues. The Prime Minister would have made some very strong remarks about the involvement of the OAS in facilitating that migration issue to Trinidad and Tobago. How has the Venezuelan authorities agreed to assist Trinidad and Tobago in border control, border protection at the international maritime lines, of course, given our state of our naval assets. And what more can you tell us coming out of that meeting?
Okay, so it was a very productive meeting. We had the foreign minister from Venezuela, as well as the fairly newly minted Admiral Carmen, who is now the Minister of Interior Security, basically their Minister of National Security. And what we agreed to do, the first thing people need to understand, and thanks for the opportunity, there's a breach of Venezuelan laws as well, because the Venezuelan borders are closed, all right, and the Trinidadian borders are closed. So we've agreed that there are issues on both sides. We are going to work jointly. We're going to increase the joint sharing of information. We also agreed that there are certain criminal elements involved, organized criminal elements, organized crime, and we are going to share information and also utilize the assets on both sides of the states. We're going to keep the channels of communication very open. And we also directed that the persons at the operational level have closer communication and closer ties between themselves. And we will continue to try to uphold the laws of both the Venezuelan side and our side. Interestingly, the Venezuelans said that they have information that some NGOs, including international NGOs, are facilitating what seems to be smuggling of persons across, etc. So that's something we will explore. You all would recall that over the past few weeks, I have been indicating to the country, and I'll indicate here again, that we do have serious concerns about the facilitation of human trafficking and smuggling that is taking place, and we will continue to uphold the law of Trinidad and Tobago.
Minister, are there concerns that the longer we remain closed, that international airlines may start to bypass us as a destination, or, you know, any concerns on that going forward?
Well, international airlines have an interest in having the borders open. And after they deposit their payload, they move on to the next destination. A few months ago, we had a CARICOM meeting. I think it was in July. And we were being encouraged, close to being threatened, by some international interests that if we didn't sign on to opening our borders by October, we would not be able to participate in the opening up of the airline industry. Of course, that kind of position was being taken completely oblivious to the fact that there was a reason why the border was closed. And that reason is of little interest to those who want the border open. CARICOM heads did not respond to that threat in the way that it was being put, because we understood that our border was closed as part of our fight against the virus. And we will keep it closed as long as the virus continues to be a threat. We are now into December, and most borders are still closed because the virus, rather than recede, as you would have heard today, is still raging. So you have to determine who is talking and whose interest is being served. We are not going to be bypassed by anybody. Once it is safe for our national airline to go on scheduled service, we'll be the first to agree to do that, because right now it's costing us money not to be on that service. And if there are other airlines who are prepared to come in and come in safely, we'll be the first to allow them to come in. But that determination as to whether we have that movement in is governed by the state of our response and the requirement to close the border as a response to the virus. And I think most countries are in that situation. Today I was looking at something shown to me from a British airline wanting to use a different kind of test to allow people to come on board their plane and be transported. That is not cleared as something that is useful, and even though it looked as if it was practical to bring back some air traffic in, it was counter to what we have been doing in managing the virus, and therefore we can't do it. As simple as that. So just look at who is offering you the options and what their interest is as against your interest.
On January 20th, a new administration is taking office in the United States, one which may have a better relationship with CARICOM. Would CARICOM, as a body, use its influence to advise the U.S. administration to remove some of the harsh sanctions imposed against the people of Venezuela and the government of Venezuela, so that this whole migration issue may become moot and Venezuelans who have left their home seeking better lives can now return home? Is that something that you would consider or share or try to convince your CARICOM colleagues to do?
The CARICOM position as of today is that we support any and all initiatives from the international community or our local CARICOM community to encourage a situation of dialogue inside of Venezuela where they, the Venezuelans, will come to conclusions in their best interests, whether it is having elections, participating in elections, ensuring that they meet certain human rights standards and so on, and CARICOM has steadfastly stood by that. With respect to sanctions against Venezuela, we are clear that those sanctions have worsened the Venezuelan situation. The intention of the sanctions were that there would be a regime change and persons who were in office would be removed, much as that is a desirable in many quarters. In attempting to bring that about, it has worsened the situation. And that is Trinidad and Tobago's position, and it is widely held inside of CARICOM. But it could have been far worse, eh? It could have been worse if the regime change was encouraged and was brought about by physical intervention in Venezuela. We would have been in dire straits here in Trinidad and Tobago because we have 16,000 Venezuelans here. Multiply that by 10, that's 160,000. Multiply the effect of that by 10 of what is happening now, and you'll understand. And that's only a small fraction of who could have come to us if there was physical intervention in Venezuela, which may not have achieved the objective of bringing about regime change. So from day one, CARICOM's position was the candle must not cost more than the funeral, and there are other options. And our option was supported, our unanimous position in CARICOM was supported by Mexico, by Uruguay, by South Africa, by the Organization of African Union, by South Africa itself, and by other countries who believe in multilateralism as against unilateral action of any one country. It is a multilateral approach that we support. In January, which is next month, Trinidad and Tobago takes over the leadership of CARICOM, and then I would be in leadership for the next 6 months in the first half of 2021, which would be a significant time when these issues, these very weighty issues, will fall to Trinidad and Tobago's leadership in CARICOM. And rest assured that we'll be very active in there.
If your daughter will be joining you for Christmas or not?
She's in the line somewhere, and I'm anxious that hopefully she can get home. Genuinely, I would really be happy if she can get here. We are expecting her. She's going through the process. She applied for an exemption, and I hope the minister would have granted it. She has to get a seat on a plane, and she has to get her PCR test. And hopefully she'll be here over the Christmas season. Hopefully for Christmas.
I want to put on your other hat, your political leadership hat. Tomorrow there's a leadership election of the main opposition party in Trinidad and Tobago, and basically a two-horse race. One of them would have served on the roadmap committee, which we found some level of confidence to appoint him there. Do you have any wagers on this race, and how do you see the outcome?
Well, first and foremost, let me just put it this way, that the PNM does not engage itself with the internal affairs of any other political entity as they seek to go about their internal business. But I noticed that you have described the quadruped. I don't know what options you have. I am in no position to say they're horses or otherwise, but whatever the outcome, that's what it is. And it has no bearing on what we do in the PNM, or for that matter, in the government. So I wish everybody good luck. When people who want to engage themselves in political activity should be encouraged. It's a good thing. And people who offer themselves for public service should also be encouraged if they are worthy. You mentioned one of the horses as having taken part in the roadmap exercise. I was very grateful for the acceptance of the invitation, but I see the description of the government now is as part of the campaign would make you wonder if that is so. Well, obviously, you know, the thought process is not what we always think it is, but campaigns are campaigns. I just wish everybody best of luck, and I trust that it's all good for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you all very much, and see you again soon, and encourage your friends to have a good Christmas, and let's have a better January. Thank you.
It's Christmas fun. Never, never. Bring drinks, someone, bring sips. Your friends are here.